So I thought it would be good to talk about YAH's path, whether you are new to Torah and just starting on your journey, or maybe you've been in the walk for quite a while. Maybe it's just a good review to talk about how do we focus on YAH's word and really kind of examine ourselves. How do we know for sure that we're on the correct path? Jeremiah 31:20 tells us, make road markers for yourself. Set up landmarks for yourself. Set the thoughts of your heart upon the road, the route you are walking. So here this implies that we are to do something, to make road markers, to set up landmarks. There's some action that we ourselves take as believers in YAH's truth. Eric Bissell has available on his website, eriktology.net, the Shields Project. And this is a great study. He has, I think, maybe 200 scriptures that he would say could be road markers, could be shields, could maybe illuminate the way to following YAH. And maybe a good place to start is Deuteronomy 6, Deuteronomy 11, Numbers 15. These give prescriptions of things that we are to do as followers of YAH. Deuteronomy 6 is literally the Shema. And here I have Eric Bissell's card from his card deck of Deuteronomy 6. And I'm going to read verses 4 through 9. And it is, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our God. Yahweh is the one and only. You shall love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your resources. And these matters that I command you today shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them thoroughly to your children, and you shall speak of them while you sit in your home, while you walk on the way, when you retire and when you arise. Bind them as a sign upon your arm. Let them be ornaments between your eyes, and write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. So a few things we can start with. And then verse 12. Beware for yourselves, lest you forget. Yah who took you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery. Yahweh your God shall you fear, him shall you serve, and in his name shall you swear. And then 17 through 19. You shall not test Yahweh your God as you tested him at Massah. You shall surely observe the commandments of Yahweh your God and his testimonies and his decrees that he commanded you. You shall do what is fair and good in the eyes of Yahweh, so that it will be good for you, and you shall come and possess the good land that Yahweh swore to your forefathers, to thrust away all your enemies from before you, as Yahweh spoke. What amazing promises he's given his people. Here's another shield for Deuteronomy 11, 22 through 26, which reads, For if you will observe this entire commandment that I command you to perform it, to love Yahweh your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave to him, Yahweh will drive out all these nations from before you, and you will drive out greater and mightier nations than yourselves. Every place where the sole of your foot will tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and the Lebanon, from the river, the Euphrates River, until the western sea shall be your boundary. No man shall stand up against you. Yahweh your God will set your terror and fear on the entire face of the earth where you will tread, as he spoke to you. So he himself has promised these things. So for on YAH's path, and we're following and walking with YAH, step by step, surely keeping his Sabbath and his Moedim. So one thing we're told quite often on YAH's path is to Shema, Shin Mem Ayin. The Shin I see as dispensing benefits for obedience. The Mem as the perfect environment for sustenance and growth. And the Ayin, close examination, close scrutiny. Think of a magnifying glass. It literally looks like an eyeball, maybe your ear. something closely examined. If you go to the Red Dictionary on page 667 in the middle column, we find this definition for Shema, which is to hear. He heard with interest, he hearkened, listened to, he fulfilled one's advice, was heard, was listened to, was understood, was obeyed. He assembled, summoned. Literally, he caused to hear. He made a proclamation, announced. He assembled, summoned, was made to hear, was proclaimed. Look how complete that definition is. Not only do I hear something off in the distance, but I focus my ear, I really listen with the intent to obey. How amazing. Jeremiah 7:23 tells us, rather, it was only this thing that I commanded them, saying, hearken, that's the Shema word, hearken to my voice, that I will be your God, and you will be my people, and you will go on the entire way that I command you, so that it will be well for you. It is for our benefit to be on YAH's path. Another word we're quite familiar with is shamar, Shin Mem Resh. Shin, again, that dispensing of benefits for obedience. Mem, that perfect environment of sustenance and growth. Think of a fish in water, has everything it needs to live and thrive. And then Resh, I see as a righteous decision maker. So we'll find this definition on page 668, the top left column. Literally the first word. So here we have shamar, to keep, to heed, watch over, guard, to observe. To watch, guard, he supported, aided, protected, residue, remnant, dregs of a liquid, possibly things that we need to filter out of our lives. To wait upon, attend. So they call this a verb. He kept, he heeded, watched over, guarded. He preserved, protected. He observed, celebrated. He took heed, was careful, was kept, was guarded. He paid regard, he watched, guarded. He took care, was watched, was guarded. He took care, took heed, was kept, was observed. Now in this definition, I did not expect to see the word celebrated. If we look at Genesis 2, Yah celebrated Shabbat. He did not give instructions. He did this. He established it. He guarded it. What an amazingly beautiful picture that Yah kept Sabbath first. In that couple verses of Genesis 2, if you look at the Paleo, if you look at the Hebrew, you'll see words like ayin, shin, resh. Now, we don't see the word shamar, but this is kind of similar. And then ayin, shin, tav, shin, bet, tav, and kuf, dalet, shin. So I encourage you to look up those words in the dictionary to maybe study this out. See, how is Sabbath to be done? How do we do this? What are his instructions that he gives on how he did Shabbat? So if we have road markers, certainly the biggest billboard of all would be Sabbath, the day of rest. We're to rest and not work and enjoy the luxury of what Yah has given to us. In Ezekiel 20, verse 10, we're told, so I took them out of the land of Egypt and brought them to the wilderness. Verse 11, I gave them my decrees and my laws I made known to them, through which if a man fulfills them, he will live through them. Again, it's for your benefit. We're told in Scripture to choose life, and here it exactly tells us we will have life through following Yah's decrees. In verse 12, I also gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, to know that I am Yahweh who sanctified them. So one way we know that we are Yah's people is to have the sign upon us, to keep his Sabbath. Psalms 104 verse 23 tells us, man goes forth to his work and to his labor until evening. Just like Yah performed amazing creation during his week of creation, that means 6 days that he created, Ask yourself, when did he create this amazing stuff? And similarly, man is told to go to work during the day. So here's a shield for Genesis 1 through 5. Genesis 1:5, and if I read the right to left, Yah's name, Yahweh there, called to the light day, or Yom, and to the darkness he called night. And we're given the word evening, and yet in the dictionary it's a mixture, and I put a mixture of light because that's what's mixing there, and then morning, boker, and he calls that one day. Now if you look on page 484, we have ayin resh bet, and that is defined as mixing, and there's quite a bit more to that definition. So again, I encourage you to look at this and study this out. If I think of Eric Vissel's videos and boil them down, every one of them encourages you that all of Yah's ways are possible, that they are worth following, and Scripture tells us the same. Yah's promises are true. They are guaranteed by He Himself, and they are worth it. They are for your life and for your health. Micah 6:8 tells us, He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does Yahweh require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. So we're going to do some dictionary practice. And just for what it's worth, I've made a summary for a few verses. And when I'm using larger amounts of scripture, I think I shared before, I use Blue Letter Bible if I need a specific word because I'm just not literate in the Hebrew. But when I'm using several verses together, I look in the Stones to Knock, and I can count the verse that I want, and then I can write down all of the Hebrew, and I write down the Paleo because that is easier for me to write. And I use just a regular notebook, and then I leave myself 4 lines of space so that I can add in the definition. And so instead of showing you a picture of that mess, we're going to look at Proverbs 22:17 through 21. So instead of showing you that mess of my notebook, I blocked it out on screen. So verse 17 begins with a 2-letter word, hey tet. And in the dictionary, it is defined as he bent, inclined. And the next word, Aleph, Zayin, Nun, Kaf. I found that whole word in the dictionary, and I have it underlined in the green, which is defined as belt, weapon, implement. And in the dictionary, it referenced Deuteronomy 23, verse 14. I also looked up Aleph, Zayin, Nun, because that was available also in the dictionary. And that is defined as weighed carefully, leveled, tested, proved, to balance, hearkened, listen, handle, ear. Almost similar to the next word, Shema. So that is Sheen Mem Ayin. I have it underlined in the yellow. And again, that is to hear, heard with interest, hearkened, listened to, fulfilled one's advice, was understood, proclaimed, announced, caused to hear, summoned, and assembled. So we've done those first 3 words, and we're going to go on to the 4th word with that big arrow over it, which is Dalet, Bet, Resh, Yod. And that is defined pertaining to a word, rational, theoretical, pertaining to pestilence. And in the yellow, we have the Dalet, Bet, Resh, and that is defined as raft, reason, manner, cause, pasture, to drive cattle, leader, guide, speech, and to speak. And in the orange, I have Het, Kaf, Mem, Yod, Mem. Now that Yod, Mem is a suffix, and it's often, I believe, plural, so maybe offered to them almost. And that word is defined, the Het, Kaf, Mem part is defined as to be wise, was wise, acted wisely, prudent, skillful, learned, scholar. So if we move on through this verse, I have Wa, Lamed, Bet, and that is defined as heart, mind, will. I also looked at Lamed, Bet, Bet above in the yellow. And the reason why I looked at that word was in Hebrew, you can often double the second letter and you'll find a little bit more, because I thought that heart, mind, will was a great definition, but maybe there was a little bit more there. And that lamed bet bet is defined to be understanding, fascinated, encouraged, strengthened, likable. Our next word, I dropped off the tav because I did not find that whole word in the dictionary. So that tav is a prefix. And then I looked up shin, yod, tav. And that is defined to set, put, place, lay. He made, established, constituted, foundation. He became, garment. And then our last word, I looked up dalet ayin tav, and that is defined as the knowledge of or knowledge wisdom. So my summary, just for what it's worth, to put all that together into a sentence, I chose, he inclined, weighed carefully, proved like a weapon, those who hear with interest, with the intent to obey. Theory of a wise scholar, completely established, heart, mind, and will in wisdom. So we move on to verse 18. That first two-letter word, kaf yod, is hyphenated, and we see it repeated again in the yellow. So that's defined as that, because, when, while, as if, although, though, thus, therefore, burning, branding. In the Paleo, I literally see that as YAH's hand raised in sworn oath by his own power. That next part of the word, the nun ayin yod mem, is defined as pleasant, agreeable. So again, we have that repeat kaf yod, and then we have the hyphenated word tav shin mem resh mem. And if I drop the tav prefix and the mem suffix, I have the word shamar, which is to keep, to heed, watch over, guard, to observe, preserve, was careful, celebrated. And there's more to some of these definitions. I just put what I could fit basically on this slide. So I encourage you to dig and find even more treasure if you look at the entire definition. Our next word is bet, bet, tet, noon, cough. Now I could not find bet, bet in the dictionary. I mean, there are some other words, but not this combination. So I dropped one as a prefix and looked up bet, tet, noon, and that is defined as to cover with a lining, to line, to place, concrete, belly, abdomen, womb. The next word, yod, kaf, noon, wa, is defined as surname, attribute, was named, entitled. The next word, yod, chet, dalet, wa, I could only find the chet dalet, and that is defined as one single edge, sharpness, point, sarcasm, and wit. And next we have the aleph lamed, which is defined as the prefix as it's used here as super. And the next part of the word, shin, pei, tav, is defined as to place, put, set over a fire, established, ordained. So my rendition for this verse, just for what it's worth, I chose, because it is agreeable, therefore, watch over, guard, carefully observe the family attribute of sharp-wittedness and joy and gladness, super established and ordained. So verse 19, I found He Yod Wa Tav, and that is defined as to be existence, written, graphic. This next word, you can see Yod He Wa He, and that's Yah's name, his four-letter tetragrammaton. And the amazing thing about these Paleo scriptures, Eric Bissell's chosen to make that blue. So I think that's amazing to see in the scriptures. And here we have a prefix, bet. And that letter can be like in or with. And in the dictionary, this bet, yod, wa is defined as life. Our next word is mem, bet, tet, chet. So I dropped the kaf, and it's defined as promised, guaranteed, assured. I also found the bet tet chet in the blue is safety, security, tranquility, rely, ensured, to trust certainly, depend upon, assured, to be at ease. Now in the yellow, I have the beginning of this next word is hey, wa, dalit. That is defined as beauty, splendor, glory, majesty, to resonate, reverberate, resounded, was echoed. I also looked up hey, wa, dalit, ayin, and that is announcement, communication, statement he made to know and announced. And again, we have that dalit, ayin, tav underlined in orange because that's a repeat from earlier, and that was wisdom or wisdom of. In our next word, yod, and that is defined as here is. The next part is aleph pei, and that is defined as character, nature, disposition, on, beside, among, above, epic. And the last word, the aleph tav hey, the aleph tav is in purple in the scriptures. And with a hey suffix, it is defined as to come. He came, arrived, you, thou, to address a person familiarly. So my rendition of verse 19 is the existence of zeal for life, promised, guaranteed, assured in safety, security, tranquility, and trust, is an announcement of communication you are made to know. Behold, the character, disposition, and nature has arrived to you. Verse 20. This was a bit of a puzzle for me. We have bracketed words. So I have an actual word with an extra letter, and then I have another bracket with a word and an extra letter. And to me, it almost looks like a math equation. And I really wasn't sure what to do with that. So just for what it's worth, verse 20, I have Hey Lamed Aleph, which is defined as to be removed, far away, cast off, beyond, do I not, do you not. In the yellow, I have Kaf Tav Tav, which is written graphic. And then I also had inscription, address, tattooing, woman reporter for the red underline, which is Kaf Tav Bet Tav. In the blue, I have Lamed Kaf, which is to thee or to you. And that bracketed word, the Sheen Lamed Sheen, was like 3 days ago, dealing with 3 somehow. Our next bracketed word was like third in command or 1/3. So I chose the part of the definition that was officer, captain, trustee, and referee. Our next word, we have bet, mem, wa, ayin, zadi, tav. And I could find mem, wa, ayin, zadi, and that's defined as council, plan, device, council, board. Again, we have that dalit ayin tav underlined in the orange, and that is the knowledge of, knowledge and wisdom. That's been repeated in a few verses. The wa dalit ayin is defined as to introduce, to present. So I'm not really happy with this part of my rendition, and I probably would rework it a bit, but for now what I have is cast off, written inscription to you 3 days ago as referee to present the official plan of knowledge and wisdom. So verse 21, that first long word, what I could find was dalit ayin is wisdom, and then dalit ayin kaf is to go out, extinguished, made dark. The next word, kuf shin tet, is defined to make straight, to arrange, to adorn, decorate, embellish, ornament, to be true, happy, esteemed, to make true, correct, verified, confirmed, to shoot. It's even to shoot an arrow, truth, decorator, archer, decoration, adornment. That word has an amazing, lengthy definition. Aleph mem resh is repeated in this verse. Later on it has the plural yod mem suffix, but here it has the yod suffix. And it is defined as to say, told, uttered, commanded, ordered, thought, caused to say, high, numerous, word, speech, utterance, fine words. So the Aleph Mem Tav word I have defined as stability, success, faithfulness, certainty, truth, to verify, confirmed, authenticated, verifier of weights. Think of in Scripture how important it is that Yah commands to have just weights, like we're to walk in justice. And we even see it in the definition of the words. I think is amazing. The next word, He, Shin, Yod, Bet, was defined as he caused to return, gave back, caused to blow, drove away. Again, we have the Aleph Mem Resh word, and then in the yellow, the Aleph Mem Tav word, and then the last word here, we have Shin, Lamed, Het, which is defined as sent, extended, sent a message, dispatched, transmitted, dismissed, sent away, he sent forth. And it also has the suffix yod kof, so offered to you. And that verse, for what it's worth, I chose wisdom to make straight, adorn, decorate, authenticate, so you will be called blessed, happy. I commanded stability, faithfulness to return in fine words to them as I commanded. So as you are traveling on Yah's path, I hope every step is absolute, certain, and sure for you, that Yah's words are so true. And as we use the dictionary, as we study his scripture, as we see his words for what he himself said, not only about himself, but you as his people, I hope that this will be helpful.